Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Crew First Culture podcast. I want to thank you for joining me here today and appreciate your time. Just going to take a little bit of time today and kind of, once again, like usual, just go over some things that have been on my mind. I guess first of all, where are you at in the whole quarantine isolation type situation? Hopefully, everything's going well for you. As as it seems like it's been the whole time for me, it's still a work in progress. Just kind of still trying to find a balance. I still trying to kind of work through some time management issues, kind of stepping away from my phone basically past few days at home completely, just trying to spend more time with family and focus more on that. And so it's a challenge. You have so many things that you're wanting to do and get done, and with us being, I assume most of the people listening to this, fire service, first responders, you basically have two families, almost two lives even. And you it's such a balancing act of how are you doing at work? Are you being able to focus on work when you're at work? Or do you have things at home with your family that are sucking away some of your focus, and some things at home that have to be dealt with that you can't really focus at work when you're trying to deal with them? Or when you're at home, are you able to focus on your family and spend time with them and make them the priority? Or are you allowing work and social media and everything in between to take away from that? And so it's always that's always been a problem, always been an issue, I guess you could say, with me, even before social media, is just finding that balance. Are you allowing work to consume you when you're home? Are you allowing problems at home to basically consume you when you're at work, when you really need to have that focus? So it's definitely a challenge. And then you add social media, and you add just trying to do some podcasting, do some writing, do some preparation for maybe some type of class lecture type things. You add all that in together, and now trying to do a little volunteer work as well at home, and it's just it is it is a work in progress, is about the nicest way I can put it. And I have had a few good days here and there here lately, and I've had some not so good days here lately. So it's just one of those things where I don't know that I will ever just be able to say, yes, I got it figured out and it's working great, and here's the perfect formula. Just start handing that out to everybody. I just don't feel like I'm ever going to get there. I feel like it's going to be constantly, okay, well, now I'm letting this take over. I've got to back this off. Now this is overwhelming me. I've got to kind of watch what I'm doing here. So, uh, I wish it was easier. I wish that I had more of a quicker fix, all the answers, all that. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. And so all I can do is apologize when I put my priorities in the wrong order, and try my best to do better. And I, I've done a lot of apologizing here lately at home, and even some at work. So I know that there's a lot of that going around. So just kind of putting it out there. you know, I actually right now recording this It's about 5:50 in the morning. Got into town a little bit early before shift, and so just trying to find creative ways of still getting some message out, still trying to reach some people, but at the same time not allow it to take away from my family at home, or not allow it to kind of consume me when I'm at work, when I should be spending time training and just spending time with that family when I'm there. So it's it's uh it's stressful, trying to balance everything. And yeah, the easy answer is to find some things to take away, drop some things. If you don't have enough time for everything, then it's time to maybe look at what you're doing. So that's always that's always an answer. It's an answer that me personally I don't like, because it's not like there are things I'm doing that I just don't enjoy doing. If I'm doing it, if I'm spending time on it, it's probably because some point or another I enjoy doing it. The the podcasting, no, I'm not the greatest at it. No, it doesn't come natural to me, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot better when there's somebody else to talk to, but still, even now, I feel like, it just helps me to kind of get some things off my chest, helps me to kind of put some things out there that are on my mind, and that I hope speak to somebody. If we're talking about social media, I don't do a lot. I've got an Instagram page that's basically linked to a Facebook page. So really, I post on one and it goes right to the other. So I don't feel like I spend a lot of time on social media pages, but I do really enjoy putting things out there. For one, I've always been, well, I guess always, probably for the last 15 years, 20 years almost, I've really enjoyed photography. That's just something that I've kind of had as a hobby of mine. And now that technology has changed drastically since, that 15, 20 years, you basically can do everything that I used to spend hours on with film cameras, developing it at a store, scanning it in, then getting into computer programs and spending hours editing. I basically can do all of that in very short time frames just with my phone. And being somebody that literally has spent hours and hours on one single picture doing some editing on years and years ago, I cannot tell you how appreciative I am of that technology. It's been very amazing just to kind of see where things have gone. And so that's, again, that's just something I enjoy doing. And if I can attach a good story, just a short, basically quote or a lesson, anything, if I can find a way to take that photo editing that I really like doing as a hobby, as just an interest, and if I can attach something to it that ties some type of lesson from the fire service into it, just that's why I'm starting to like Instagram so much. Is it when I first started, it was kind of hard for me to find out how to use it basically. You know, I I was used to writing kind of bigger, I don't know, articles, whatever you want to call it. And Instagram is just not it. You can write some fairly lengthy things in there, but I feel like if it's not in that picture, it just gets scanned over. There's not a lot of people reading everything that's in those comments. So it's tricky, you know, just trying to kind of find the ways that each little format is going to be helpful, each media site. So again, and that's really it. You know, I'm not a Twitter guy. I'm not whatever. I'm definitely not a TikTok person. I downloaded TikTok. My kids love it, and basically downloaded it for that, just to kind of keep track of that a little bit. And to be honest, I couldn't even do that. I don't, I don't get it. It just, they think it's hilarious, and I just don't get it. So I'm not, I'm not into most of that stuff. I've tried to, and in fact, with this, with this podcast, I'm gonna try to download it to YouTube. Just start YouTube just to kind of just try something else. You know, yeah, I'm spreading myself really thin, I know, but I'm just kind of using whatever formats, whatever. Just trying to think of a better word to use, but just some different medias to reach anybody I can. So that's kind of it's kind of the main thoughts right now is just the balance. It's constant. You know I've had some podcasts here lately. I know I have put some things out here lately, posts of talking about when I'm not doing great, or when I have done good for a couple days here and there, and it's just off and on. I wish that I could sit here and say, you know, it's been great ever since that last podcast where I talked about having such a good day, and but it's not. You know, I've had some issues since then. Of just still having trouble balancing that time. So anyway, I know it's a problem for everybody, or not everybody. I know it's a problem for a lot of people. So I'm just kind of putting it out there of just it's constant. Don't ever feel like you've got it figured out, because once you do, it's either going to go the opposite way, or it's going to come back and be the same problem. So just keep your eyes open, pay attention, watch your priorities. You know, I luckily have a wife that is patient, and she has to remind me way more than she should of just keeping my priorities in check. And it seems like such a easy thing that I should be able to take care of myself, but it's hard for me. Apparently, I feel like I am a little ADHD. I tend to grab onto something and let it consume my focus. And so she's had to put me in check several times here lately, and rightfully so, and thankfully so, because as much as I enjoy doing these things, it's not anywhere near the priority that my family is. But I could say that all day long, and if I don't show it, then it's either not really true, or I really need to look at how I'm spending my time. So I can 100% say that it is absolutely the truth. So the problem is I'm just not backing it up with action. So like I said, you know, she's done very good being patient with me. I've really tried here past couple of days of, once I get home, I'm home, put my phone down. You know, the weather's warming up, which means it's kind of, we joke around, is basically project season, because that's kind of when we start doing home projects and projects around the farm, things like that. So it's a good time. I think we both really enjoy doing projects. It's good for us to both uh, kind of do things together, work together, it's exhausting. And last year we got way too deep into it. We spent way too much money and definitely way too much time. We got into almost one of those things where it's like you pull a string to fix something, and that string just keeps going and going and going, and everything seemed to be tied in together, and it was hard for us to find a stopping point, basically. And so already had a conversation about not wasting our entire summer working, because it was great to get those things done. It's very nice now being able to enjoy that, but it really consumed our entire summer. And I say that, and I truly mean it. It consumed every hour of our summer. And so yeah, it was just, it kind of makes you feel bad because you got kids that need more of your attention than what was given to them. So we are definitely going to kind of work on our focus as far as getting some things done, but not allowing it to absolutely take over, the our time for the rest of the summer, which seems like summer's already been going on for a month or two now with the school and everything out. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I know that this has been a topic that I've talked about a couple times already, and just the short lifespan of the podcast. And to be honest, it it kind of irritates me because I am sick to death of hearing about this stuff. My wife and I, we don't have cable, so even if even if we wanted to, we can't watch the news, basically, because we don't have any way of getting local channels, which is perfectly fine with us because we don't care about news. We just don't. And maybe that's kind of to a fault. Maybe we should be paying more attention to things, staying more current, but we just don't. We don't we don't care. I mean, we've got so much going on at home. We've got kids running out of our ears. We've got animals and property to take care of, and a house that is constantly needing this and that fixed. And we both have full-time jobs. We don't care. We literally don't watch TV pretty much 90% of the days until everything is done at night, and we're just basically crashing for a little bit before we get in bed. It's just an hour or two at the very most where we're just kind of relaxing, debriefing, spending a little conversation together at the end of the night. And I'm totally fine with that. Luckily, neither one of us really, we're kind of on the same page, I guess, is the best way I could say it in that arena. And so the good thing about that is when I'm at home, we we I'm not just consumed by it, all this quarantine and all that. We live out in the country. I wouldn't say that our life at home has changed at all. Yes, we it makes it harder getting groceries, and it makes it harder doing things away from the home, but we don't do a lot of that. So it hasn't changed home life very much. Only the biggest change obviously is just the kids being home. So that's been nice. We do have, my wife and I have conversations because she's a nurse, I'm a firefighter. So it's obviously affected us at work, and we're both in leadership management type roles. So we do get into some of that at home, and just light conversation mainly. talking about how irritating it is, the things that we have to do because of it. So that part of my life is pretty light. I get away with being there and not being consumed by all the talk. But as soon as I walk through the door at the station, it's nonstop. What's the latest news on the virus and how bad it is, and these people are saying how much of a joke it is, and it's all bull crap, and these people are saying that those people are stupid and they better take it more serious. And I'm so tired of it. Literally one of the first things I do when I get into my office at the firehouse is turn the TV off, because I don't want to hear it. I'm just eh, so tired of it being non-stop talked about. We're backing off now, but we were having meetings every single day, Zoom meetings, talking about the latest and what policies are changing and what we're adding and all that. And oh, I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. I just want to be, I want to go to the grocery store on shift with my crew and get groceries. I can't even do that. It's so ridiculous and irritating. We eat out just as a crew. We always cook. I mean, there's very few times that we've ever eaten out. If it's a busy day to where we just are worn out, we'll go eat out. Or if it's, just a kind of a once in a while thing, we'll go eat out. But generally, we cook at the station, so that hadn't changed a lot. But what has changed is, we can't go to the grocery store now. So, well, I say that we can go to the grocery store, but we're expected to get all 3 days of food in one trip, and it can only be one person, and you got to wear a mask and all this stuff, and it's just such a pain in the neck. We just basically go, somebody goes before shift and brings in food, and so that's kind of our way around it. But even if we wanted to eat out right now, yeah, the restaurants are starting to open back up, but we're still not allowed to eat, dine in the restaurant, if they're open. So it's so restrictive. And now a lot of training has been shut down. Yes, we as a crew have gotten, I think, back into the swing of things, as far as we do. For the past couple of weeks, we've done something every day. Last shift, it was a pretty light training activity because we wore ourselves out with the workout right before. So I don't know that anybody really had a lot of energy to put into training, but we still, you know, there were a couple areas in our district that we've talked about here really for a while now that we really needed to get out and look at some. And I put out a post a couple days ago about it. And Oklahoma, we don't have basements. If you see basements in Oklahoma, it is very rare. And so it's just not something that we deal with, not something we expect to see. And on a medical run, we noticed that there's a whole street that has, it's basically kind of built on a slope, this area, and the whole street has walkout basements. And the funny thing is, if you're not really paying attention, you would never know it from the street, because looking at it, these houses from the street, they look like regular single story houses. But if you start paying attention and kind of looking as you're driving at the sides of the houses, you can tell that the it's really sloped, and the house kind of keeps going down. So that's kind of what brought it to our attention, and we started seeing some windows below grade and all that. So when we get out there and realize that, I mean, this is something that we need to walk around and get an idea of how we're going to address different fires in different areas of these houses, because it's just something out of the norm for us. It's basically a two-story house inverted. You know, you got the floor ground level, the first floor, you got, which is basically a master bedroom, kitchen, living room, things like that. But then you got three bedrooms or so, and I assume some type of a living area downstairs, which is kind of what would usually be upstairs. So it was really good to get out. And then there was a family out kind of doing some things outside. So we, within our proper distancing, we talked to them for a little bit, just kind of asking them some building construction questions of their house, and are the other houses basically the same? And just looking at it, and from what they said, looked like basically every house was very similar in layout. So uh, you know it wasn't anything ex really in depth. We didn't have to take anything out of service. We didn't have to wear ourselves out, but we got some really, really good training out of it. And we left there and went to a area that the hydrants are really spread out. They're probably 700-800 feet apart. You got 100 to 200 foot driveways, and so that neighborhood is going to be a whole new set of challenges. You're talking about your laying your lines, and how far that's going to be, and then you got your setbacks of anywhere from 50 to 200 feet in this neighborhood. And so some of the driveways are paved and nice, and definitely accessible with fire trucks, are just driving right up in there. And then some of them are really narrow and gravelly and not great shape, so that you're looking at, for us, basically stretching 2.5 inch lines to feed attack lines. So both of those areas in themselves were really, really good things for us to do. And I'm bringing this up basically to say, if you're kind of in a slump still as a crew with all this stuff going on, just start getting creative. If you have a hydrant around your firehouse, just start hooking a hose to it and doing some hose work. If you have some areas around your district that are kind of tricky and could definitely cause you some issues if you aren't prepared for them, get out and look at them. Stretch some lines if you need to. Walk it off. Get an idea of setback distances. Just anything. Pull up some YouTube videos and start watching. The only thing I want to kind of I don't. Only thing I would tell you about that is just beware of your mindset when you're watching these videos. You're going to see a lot of videos that make you say, what are they doing? What in the world is going on? And these guys suck, and all that. Just be careful. You weren't at that fire. You don't know what was really going on. You don't know what their equipment is like. You don't know what their water situation is like. I heard somebody say on a podcast the other day, no one is an expert at a fire that they weren't at. And so there's a lot of good that you can get out of watching YouTube videos of fires and training videos and things like that. Just don't let yourself slip into turning it into basically trashing these people on these videos. If there's an obvious mistake going on, then take the time to learn from that mistake. Take the time to say, hey, see what happened here? That cannot happen. And we have got to do everything we can to not let that happen to us. We don't want to be that person. So, there, you'll see it all the time. Lots of people want to gripe about, what's not going right in these training videos, what they're not doing right, or what this crew screwed up on his fire. And it's everywhere. It's so easy for people to be that person. If you want to be a person that degrades somebody over social media, all it takes is your time to type something out. That's it. It doesn't take any courage. It doesn't take any knowledge. It doesn't take any experience. It's basically just takes whatever time you want to invest in it, and you're automatically able to tear somebody down. What does take time and what does take courage is to record yourself doing some training and put it out there, just in hopes that it will help somebody else. I've put out quite a bit of stuff here lately, not because I feel like we are experts, not because I feel like we're doing it perfectly, but I want to put something out there to give people ideas of some different things that they could be doing. You know, if you have a hydrant at your station and you're not able to get out to train, or you're not able to take anything out of service, then all you need are one or two sections of hose and a nozzle, and that's it. You go hook it straight up to the hydrant, and yeah, your water pressure isn't going to be perfect, depending on what kind of water pressure you got out of your hydrant, depending on what hose you're using. Yeah, you might not have enough nozzle pressure as you would normally, and it might react differently in the hose, or you might have more pressure than normal, and it might react differently. But what's wrong with training with like that? What are the chances that those things will never happen in real life? The chances of you getting a kink somewhere that nobody addresses and your water pressure drops in a house. But I know what that feels like now, because I was hooked to a hydrant one time and it wasn't giving me enough pressure. So I know what that hose feels like when it's under pumped. So I know now there's an issue. So I need to go fix it. Or I feel like this nozzle is just too much nozzle reaction. It's hard for me to hold. It feels like it's being overpumped. Kind of like that one time I was on a really hot hydrant and I could hardly hold it. But now, because I got out and I did that training, I know what that feels like. And so I'm not saying that these are experiences personally. I'm just saying that's what you could gain out of even the simplest training. Just going out to a hydrant, wherever that is, hooking it up, not taking anything out of service. Even if you don't have any spare nozzles, steal one off of a line on the truck. All you have to do is shut that line down, take the nozzle off, put it right back on the engine, and go. Yeah, it might take you a few seconds, but it shouldn't take you that long. So just trying to kind of inspire anybody out there that is still finding themselves in a slump as far as the crew not getting back into it. There's so many things we could be doing right now, so many different things that don't require a lot of personnel, don't require a lot of training facilities, don't even require an apparatus. We I've seen it quite a few times here lately. And if it is somebody's quote, I'm sorry, I don't know who it is, but basically it's saying that if you don't accomplish a lot of good during this time, it's not because you lack the time, it's because you lack the discipline. And I think that is so true. This is it's such a crappy time. I hate it, but it is such a good time to gain things that, you know, it's just testing your discipline. And like Brooke said in our last podcast, I don't hardly use the word motivation anymore. If I do say it, I almost catch myself correcting myself and using something else, because motivation is so weak. It's just so fragile, and it's like a receipt that blows out of your bag, on a windy day. If you have a receipt that blows out of a bag on the way to your car, what are the chances of you catching that receipt? The receipts are so light, and as soon as they catch wind, they're freaking gone. And I feel like that's kind of what motivation is yeah, you have it. If you have it in your hand, it's there and it feels so real. But as soon as you loosen that grip and as soon as that wind takes it, it's gone. And so, like I said with her, motivation for me was out the door a couple days into this whole deal. So it's up to me to find the discipline and the inspiration to keep going, to gain whatever I can get out of the situation. And so just want to really kind of try to inspire you to reach out, reach deep down inside of you, get creative, get get some discipline to get going again. Gyms are starting to open back up, so I'm gonna have to kind of dig down and get that inspiration and that discipline to get back into the gym. And so that's another whole topic for me. Just I was in such a good routine and it's gone. And so I'm going to have to really dig deep to get that back. But, it's that way with every little piece of life right now. You got to have discipline to gain knowledge. You got to have discipline to gain growth. And so, that's where we should all be, is that's what we want to gain. We want to gain knowledge. We want to gain growth. And we can't do that without discipline. So again, just want to encourage you all to get out, get something done, grow as a crew, grow as an individual, grow as a family. Take advantage of what you have out there right now. Keep pushing. Don't allow somebody else to take that drive, that passion away from you. If you have worked hard to kind of get back into the swing of things and you're still surrounded by people that are not in that mindset, don't let them steal that from you. Get out and do something by yourself. Whatever it takes. Don't let somebody else steal that from you, because this is a time that all of that is so precious. Your drive, your motivation, your inspiration, your discipline, all of that. So if you're around people that are doing more taking from that than giving, then you got to really kind of distance yourself from them and focus on the people that are adding to that as opposed to taking. So kind of cut it off right here. I don't want to get too long. I got to get into the station anyway. So just thank you again for stopping by and listening. I really, really appreciate each and every one of you here. Look forward to having some more guests on here as soon as I can. And I'm not a self-promoter in any means, and it makes me kind of cringe to even think about it, but just want to really ask you all to like and subscribe and comment and rate and anything you can and are willing to do to the podcast if you're enjoying it. Reach out to me on social media as always, if you have questions or comments, and just spread the word. I want to thank you for coming. Until next time, I want to say stay safe, take care of each other, and look forward to having you back. Thank you.